With me now in our studios is our cricket editor Vikrant Gupta, a very avid batsman himself. Also with us, one of the greatest captains India has ever produced, Sourav Ganguly, is joining us tonight from Kolkata. Dada, welcome. With me also is Dr. L. Tomar. He's an orthopedic surgeon at the Max Hospital, and Nikhil Chopra headlines today's cricket expert. I want Vikrant first to explain to our viewers through the use of an animation that will come on our plasma screen behind us and through the bat and the gear that you hold, how is it that Phil Hughes, because you would assume as a sports lover that a helmet is going to keep you safe, and then it turns out that's not the case.
It does, and this is not a normal cricket injury, Rahul. This is the old-fashioned helmet. This is not the kind, the ultralight that Phil Hughes was wearing. I'll wear it, and if you can see, I'm safe. You know, it has to protect me from this ball if it hits me here, or on the head. But what happened in this case was that it was a slow bouncer. Hughes had been leaving the balls till that point in time, but I think he was half-hearted. Should I play, should I not play? So he just went for the hook. It was a slow bouncer. It came after he'd finished with the shot. So it hit him here. Normally, while you're batting, it'll hit you on the head. Hit him here. As the doctor said, it's one in a billion chance.
One in a billion?
One in a billion chance that it'll hit you here. What happened was that in cricket, normally if you hit on the head, the first thing that the players will do is to rush and see if there's blood. If there's blood, that's good news, because if there's blood, that means there will not be any clot. In this case, there was blood, but what had happened was that this entire area was dissected. So the blood vessel was dissected, which means that the flow from here, the blood flow could not go to the brain. And as the doc would tell you, the normal thing after this is that after a few seconds, you have to have a cardiac arrest.
And that's how blood stopped going to his brain.
Because the blood came out, which for a batsman is a good sign, because there's no blood clot. Unlike Raman Lamba's case, where the ball hit him on the head and there was clot. So he went into a coma, he never came back. In this case, the blood came out, but he suffered a cardiac arrest. So that was, I think...
Sourav, you would have imagined ordinarily that after the 70s and through the 80s, as protective gear became better and better, that cricket is now a safe game. And suddenly you have this incident which shows that this can happen to even an international player, and there are millions of fans watching you this evening who go out and play cricket, especially during the winters, and are now very concerned about how effective this headgear really is.
Rahul, even if you have a headgear, it's a dangerous game. The red ball can still kill you. It's just that where it hits you on the head. Every time a red ball hits on the head, it hurts. And obviously it has missed the helmet of Phil Hughes, and it's hit him in the area where there was no protection. I myself, or rather any player who's played international cricket for a while, has been hit on the helmet. I've been hit by Brad Williams in Melbourne in 2003 at the same place, just underneath the space where the helmet finishes. And I was lucky that it didn't cause any life-threatening injury to me, and I'm happy to be still alive. So even if you have the helmet, even if you have the protection, anything above the chin and further up will always be a dangerous area in cricket, especially because that red ball is pretty hard and it can hurt and it can kill. And that's exactly what's happened to Phil Hughes. It's just hit him at a part where his arteries got ruptured and he lost his life. It can happen to anyone.
So that is the next important question is, how do you make cricket safer? Each time there's an incident of this nature, it's time to reflect very carefully on the equipment that's in use at that time. Is there anything in your view that can be done to change the way helmets are, maybe introduce extra padding on the side, but then it'll probably be uncomfortable if you've got stuff coming down. How do you make cricket safer, sir?
See, when I first started playing cricket in 1990, when the helmets came in, there was nothing on that helmet. Then it got better, and then when I finished, they were far better than when I started. And even now, I think they keep on doing or finding technologies which will make the helmet better. Firstly and foremostly, I think at the back part of the head, it's got to get a bit longer, probably till the lower part of your neck, and do some sort of a curve so that it doesn't obstruct you from batting. But all said and done, whatever you do, there is always a risk in sport, in any sport, of getting killed. Imagine that football game a couple of years ago when the defender was getting up to head the ball and clear it. He smashed with the opposition player and his tongue almost went in and he died on the field till the opposition player pulled the tongue out. So his life was saved in a fraction of a second. So every sport, whether it's cricket, whether it's motor racing, whether it's football, whether it's boxing, that element of risk will always remain. Look at the motor racers. Imagine having a crash. With that speed. Look at Michael Schumacher. He was skiing on top of the mountains and he just slipped and fell and he's been in coma for how many days. So when you play a sport, this will be there. Whatever protection you have, there are certain sensitive parts of the body, which is the heart, which is the head, which can always put you in trouble. You just got to hope that with whatever protection you have, the technology will get better, and I'm sure after this incident the helmets will get better. They will find some other way to create some more protection where the player gets safer, but there will always be that 5% chance of being killed when you get hit by that red cricket ball, because it's very, very hard.
In fact, gear manufacturers are saying that they've come up with an innovation in helmet technology which could make it safer. And if Phil Hughes was wearing this helmet, Vikrant, possibly he could have been saved. At least that's what the manufacturers are claiming. Can you explain to our viewers a little bit about the new helmet and how it's different from the previous one?
Rahul, just half an inch here and there, and Phil would have been with us. As I said, this is the old-fashioned helmet. It's similar. The grill is similar to the one that we've on the graphics. But if you either get this part down, maybe by a couple of centimeters, or if you get the grill down, maybe Phil Hughes would have been alive. But then it will also be very uncomfortable for the batsman to wear, because remember the ultralight helmets these days, the players would use them just for mobility. If I'm batting, and if the helmet is stiff, I can't move my head, then it becomes difficult for me to bat also.
Would that be a concern, Dada, that if you extend it at the back of the head, then it becomes that much tougher in terms of head movement?
See, there will always be that hindrance all the time, but then as a batsman you have to take a call. Whether I go through that and whether I find a way to make myself comfortable or get hit by a cricket ball and get killed. See, when you wear gloves, when you wear thigh pad, when you wear pads, there is always a sense of comfortability among batsmen. Whether I'm good at this, whether this is making me... Some don't wear arm guards, and if it hits the elbow, you break it. So it depends on the batsman, but I completely agree with Vikrant that helmet manufacturers, especially they are manufactured in Australia a lot, the C&D helmets, they will have to find a way to make life easier for the batsman, especially at the back part. They need protection at the front part as well, because if it hits you here, you are in trouble as well. So they'll have to find ways to make helmets a lot more solid.
Will this play, Dada, on the minds of the Indian batsmen when they go to Australia? You've got the fastest bowlers coming in on bouncy tracks. You've just had a death of an Australian player who's used to dealing with balls that bounce hard. Would this be weighing on the mind of the Indian batsmen when they're out there against Australia?
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure it will be at the back of their minds. You've already been seeing the way Australians have reacted. Michael Clarke was literally in tears when the press conference was going on, and I'm sure it's going to work in the minds of the Indian batsmen. But then that's the challenge of international sport, isn't it? You don't stop playing because of that. You just have to find a way to talk to yourself and say, doesn't matter, I will still have to play it, I'll still have to go out and bat in a test match, and I'll find ways of getting away from the short ball or finding ways of hooking the short ball. That's the challenge of international sport. You see motor racers having massive accidents, but that doesn't stop the future people to try that sport. And I'm sure that the Indian batters will have to get their frame of mind working in a different way. I'm sure with 4, 5, 6 days that the warm-up match is cancelled. I'm not too sure what's going to happen to the test match, whether that's going to be postponed or delayed. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm sure with time the players will get used to it and then get back to cricket.
Let me bring a medical perspective in as well. Dr. L. Tomar, orthopedic surgeon, looks at sports injuries very carefully. Can you explain what happened in this case? Because the ball's coming at 135. That's not the fastest Phil Hughes has played. As Vikrant said, it's a slow bouncer, and yet it ends up proving lethal. Why could the doctors not revive Phil?
Actually, the injury at this particular area, the impact was very great, and the injury was just behind the ear. So there are 3 possibilities in this case. So one possibility is that the impact of the ball had damaged the vessels carrying blood to the brain. So if the vessels are damaged carrying blood to the brain, that may cause immediate cardiorespiratory arrest. The second possibility is that that it caused damage to the brain stem. Brain stem is the extension of brain which connects brain to the spinal cord. So their most vital centers are located there, which are responsible for the cardiac activity and the respiratory activity. So if it is there is direct injury to the brain stem, so it will also cause the immediate cardiorespiratory arrest.
Is there nothing doctors could have done to revive Phil after he's been hit?
There is hardly any time left. There is hardly any time left to resuscitate the patient, because it just gives 3 to 5 minutes time to resuscitate. So for resuscitation, the expert doctors are required. So I think that care was given to him, and he was kept on the resuscitation. He was resuscitated there and was shifted to the hospital. But during that period, if there is no proper cardiorespiratory resuscitation within 5 minutes time, so that causes permanent damage to the brain.
Nikhil, we must also spare a thought for Sean Abbott, 22-year-old bowler. We're told he was fairly close to Phil Hughes, friend, teammate, and you end up bowling a bouncer that ends up killing your teammate. You're a murderer. You in your head, you're a murderer for life.
It'll be difficult times for sure, and I've been reading, and I'm sure Cricket Australia, even the state teams must get him to go through some sort of counselling, because at the end of the day, you're bowling a bouncer to scare the batsman, or probably just induce a false stroke to try and get his wicket. But unfortunately, like a freak accident, this happened. But Abbott must be told that there are batsmen around the world who've been hit on their heads with their helmets on, and nothing like this has happened. This is a very unfortunate incident, but it's also part of the game that 1 in a billion, like Vikrant just said, could have happened. It's happened. It is not Abbott's fault. It's not that he intended the ball to go there. So many times as a bowler, you want to do something, it doesn't come out. So, and most especially in a case where it's a life-threatening injury, and unfortunately for Phil Hughes, it was. So I guess he'll have to go through these counselling sessions to probably regain his confidence and get back his career online as well. That's a fantastic point that you bring
Dada,
out.
what would you be telling if you were counselling this young man? What would you be telling Sean Abbott? He's just 22 years old. He's now ended up killing a colleague and a teammate of his. Now, how does he go through the rest of his life carrying that stigma with him?
I don't think people will put that stigma on him, Rahul. That's a thing for him which he doesn't have to bear the rest of his life, because everybody knows that he hasn't done it deliberately. But it's something which will be with him for quite some time now. And I think it's very hard to say what I would tell him. He's just got to find a way out to get out of this. I think the best thing is to leave him alone for a while. Let him find a way with himself how to deal with it. Because it's something which one cannot keep saying to one person, because it's an emotional thing. This is something which is very close to the heart, and it will affect him emotionally. It's not that he deliberately kept bouncing someone to kill someone. It's just that it's something which is hurt inside, and only time can heal it. He'll just have to wait. He'll just have to take his time away. Maybe few days. If he wants to cry, keep crying. Take that entire sadness, the sorrow out of his heart. And then when he gets to a point where he starts talking to himself and said, what mistake have I done? I have not done it deliberate. I've played the sport of cricket in the right manner. That's how this game is played, and it has happened. It's unfortunate, but do I actually have a fault in this? I don't. So I think that will take time. That's not going to happen immediately, and only he can solve it. Yes, there will be Australian players around him who would be trying to say, put his arm around the shoulder and say, and I'm sure they must have already done it by now, that you've got nothing to do with it. But at the end of the day, it's his own mind and own heart which will keep him awake for a while, with the thought that my friend is not there anymore, my teammate is not there anymore, because Phil Hughes used to play for New South Wales till he moved to South Australia. So they've spent a lot of time together, not much of a difference in age, just 3 years of difference, and only time can heal that. I don't think too many words from too many people will probably be able to solve his issue.
Not so easy, Rahul. I remember OP, who was the batsman when he hit Raman Lamba on the head. He didn't pick up a bat for a good 1-2 years after the incident. it's not going to be so easy for Abbott, especially considering the fact that he's a fast bowler. And as a fast bowler, he would be required to bounce a batsman here and then.
And this is deeply, deeply tragic. I just hope that they're able to rework, re-engineer these helmets in a way that even if a batsman gets hit at the back of his head the next time, it doesn't prove fatal, that he's able to survive. Technology has got better, as Dada just said, but it needs to go one step further. Our thoughts and prayers with Phil Hughes, his family, his friends and all his teammates. Nikhil Chopra, Dr. Tomar, Vikrant Gupta and Sourav Ganguly for joining us